All right. That's all going to go away when the bookcases are done. One of these days. Hi, readers. It's Lori. Welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper. It is May, Anticipated Reads Day, and it is not the very last day of the month or the first week of the month of May. So I am killing it, right? I'm killing it. I'm excited about some of these, really excited about some of these today. And there are, again, a number of books coming out in May. There's a lot of thrillers. There's a lot of romantasy. There's a lot of stuff out there. But again, I'm trying to keep these to a minimum and to a realistic number. I'm pleased that most every time these resonate with a lot of you in my community. So I'm grateful for that. And I thank you for watching. And I also know that you're fully capable of researching your own anticipated reads, but sometimes they get past us. I will say that sometimes I miss something, and I'm grateful for all of the content creators that look at anticipated reads lists. So let's start with one that is a sequel to a book that I have always wanted to read and never have. Let me put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing, right? The book is called Long Island. The author is Colm Toibin. I think I said that right. Colm Toibin. Yes, I don't do it well. So I'll put it here. You can see it. This is a sequel to his novel Brooklyn, which was released a very long time ago. It is, of course, the second in this series, which is called the Ellis Lacey series, because Ellis was the main character in the novel Brooklyn. So this is being hyped by the Washington Post and New York Times. AARP is grabbing onto recommending it, I guess, because it's been a while and we're all old. I don't know, but this one is, I'd really like to read this, and I feel like I should read Brooklyn first. So will I get to this anytime soon? Probably not. But this follows Ellis, who is Irish and has now come to the United States to live in Long Island. She has teenage children, and I don't want to know a whole lot more about this except that 20 years have passed since Brooklyn was written, and I think Ellis is now in her 40s. So I love the cover too. I remember just feeling enamored with this book. I just never got to it all those years ago, and I hear really, really good things about it. People are really excited about this. So this one comes out May 7th. Just coming up really soon. Whale Fall by Elizabeth O'Connor is a debut novel, and one that caught my eye because of two things. One, the cover is fantastic, and two, it's a very interesting premise. This one is about isolation, loss, folklore, connection and disconnection, and community outside of one's sort of normal community. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. And I'm like wanting to watch to see other people that I know read it and see what they think. But again, it drew me in for sure. So it's set in 1938, and a dead whale washes up on the shore of this remote Welsh island, which I have to laugh because I have had so many books recently that I've started to read or that I have been reading and had to read that have been set in Wales or England or somewhere in that vicinity, and it's just becoming kind of hysterical. Nevertheless, Minode is the girl who lives on this island. She's been there all of her life. She's very isolated. She's kind of probably a little bit bored of the things that happen on this island until I guess this whale washes up. But then the other part of this story is that two British ethnographers come to this island to study the culture, which is what ethnographers do, the society, the culture, the implications of, the continuity of this island and how it continues. And she becomes very attracted to them and very drawn to them in a bit of a, maybe a sensual way, and not even a bit of a, it says in a very sensual way. And so this really tells a story of what happens when her life and her ambitions maybe start to disrupt this very small community. It sounds very intriguing to me. I wonder if it sounds intriguing to you as well. So that one also comes out on May 7th. Okay, this one is hyped a lot as well, and also is being hyped as something that fans of Outlander and the Outlander series by Diana Gabaldon will enjoy. It has been billed as one of the must reads of spring, and a lot of people are talking about it. There's a lot of buzz about it. This one is called The Ministry of Time, and it's by Kalyan Bradley. I'm not sure. I should have looked up how to pronounce her name, but I did not. This is also a debut. I had to look to be sure, but it is. This is also a debut that comes out on May 7th. Let me read this to you because I don't know that I can get this right. It's a little bit complicated. In the near future, a civil servant is offered the salary of her dreams and is shortly afterward told what project she'll be working on, which is a government ministry that's gathering expats from across history to establish whether time travel is feasible for the body, but also for the fabric of time and space, which, as you know, in any sort of time travel novels, there's a potential for disruption if you are messing with time, right? And you are changing the outcomes of things. So that's always fascinated me. I can't say that time travel books aren't something that I really enjoy, because they are. This woman is tasked with working as a bridge to live with and assist and monitor an expat known as 1847, or Commander Graham Gore. I'm assuming he came into this time from 1847. He was on a doomed expedition to the Arctic, and he's trying to adjust to some of the things that are happening in the US and in the space of time that he is completely unfamiliar with, and it's very jarring for him. This is how it's described: an exquisitely original and feverishly fun fusion of genres and ideas. The Ministry of Time asks, what does it mean to defy history when history is living in your house? Kalyan Bradley's answer is a blazing, unforgettable testament to what we owe each other in a changing world. I think that's what got me anyway. I wonder if it got you too. So again, The Ministry of Time, Kalyan Bradley, not sure which, May 7th. Check it out if you're interested too. We have a few on May 14th, and this first one that I'm going to press into your hands, or your pile of possibilities, was one that I was so excited to see that I squealed literally, and I immediately texted my son, because we are both space nuts. We love anything about space. I have since I was a young child. He has since he was a young child. We watch launches together on YouTube all the time, and he actually was at a launch when he was in my belly, but he doesn't remember any of that. Nevertheless, this is called Challenger, a true story of heroism and disaster on the edge of space, by Adam Higginbotham. So on January 28th, 1986, those of you who are of a certain age probably remember that the Challenger was a shuttle that ended up breaking apart right after takeoff over the Atlantic Ocean, and all of the people on the Challenger were killed. I remember this vividly because I was on my way to work. We were living in Jacksonville, Florida, where Matthew was born that September prior. And I was going to the doctor that day for some reason I can't recall, and I had my radio on, and they broke into the broadcast to say that this had happened. And I immediately got to work, turned on a television. Everyone was crowding in because they didn't hear it. I mean, I had heard it moments before I got to the office. They hadn't yet heard because they were all working, and it was one of those days, if you know, it was one of those days. Nevertheless, this really does give you sort of a minute by minute accounting of what happened, and reporting on the new research and things that are occurring as a result of this, which of course is tragic, but also beneficial if you believe that space travel is something that is valuable to us, which not everyone does. So this book may not appeal to a number of you. I will say that what made this even worse for us was there was a school teacher, the first sort of regular person that was going to join them on this journey into space. And of course, she was killed. So it is one of the most defining moments of that decade and of our history. And I really cannot wait to read this. And I'm so grateful that Adam Higginbotham has really researched this and has really presented us with this opportunity to understand this in a new and different way. So that is on my must get list for sure. And again, that one comes out. Did I tell you that one comes out on May 14th? This one is called Last House by Jessica Shattuck. And I have not read anything by Jessica Shattuck, but they do, and I do have one. She wrote a book called The Women in the Castle, maybe, and I do own that. I think it's called The Women in the Castle. Yeah. Jessica Shattuck's book is being compared to fans or being prompted for fans of The Dutch House and Great Circle. I have not read Great Circle, but I have read The Dutch House and I did enjoy it very, very much. So this is two different timelines. 1953, Nick Taylor is a World War II veteran and he is working in the oil industry, oil and gas, and his wife was a code breaker when they met. And so they have these two children and they're, peacefully living in this kind of isolated area. And life is, I guess, pretty normal, certainly more normal than what they experienced in the wartime. So one of their children is named Catherine. Yes, Catherine. Yes. And then it fast forwards to 1968 when Catherine is noticing that the Vietnam War is beginning and there's protests and there's people that are really against this. And she is trying to reconcile the ideals that she has, and maybe they're conflicting with her parents. I'm not exactly sure, but I do remember that she was really struggling with all of this and what was happening in the country and her trust in the nation, those kinds of things. And it says that this family then will have to reconcile the choices that they've made for what they believed in. And so I'm assuming that they're at odds, and it does span several generations, and it does tell kind of a story about how we, like, as young people, we don't always follow our families, political leanings or their spiritual beliefs or those kinds of things. And that's always difficult and a bit disruptive. But this one sounds like there's maybe some connection that is deeper. I don't know, but I'm in for it. I think it sounds really, really good. And I would love to hear if any of you have read The Women in the Castle, because I remember that plot being very exciting to me too. So the next one is You Like It Darker, comes out on the 21st as well by Stephen King. This is a short story collection, which he does do now and again. And the apparently the foreword of this, or no, maybe the afterword of this book says, "You like it darker? Fine, so do I." Yeah, he's bringing it. He's bringing it. And I might be really in for this because, I really do love him. And I'm so far behind on Stephen King work that I don't know how I'll ever catch up. But this one is getting a lot of buzz. And if you like short stories and you like horror, this is probably for you. Okay, the next one is The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton, who is the author of The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, which I have not read, but I've heard great things about, and The Devil in the Dark Water, which I have not heard of and not necessarily even come into my purview. But this one did come into my purview, and I'm excited about it. May 21st is the release date for this one, too. And here's why this one excites me. This is a bit of a dystopian murder mystery. So there is a fog that has occurred in the world, and when the fog touches you, you're dead. And so this has wiped out a number of people on the planet. And it reminds me of some series that I've watched. It reminds me of probably another book, but it just is a great premise. But here's where it got me. Here's where I was hooked. There's this island, isolated island. There's 122 people that live on this island and about 3 scientists, I think, 2 or 3 scientists, and they're just living peacefully. They are not impacted by this fog. They are fishing. They are, surviving. They are isolated. Now you know why it got me. Isolated, because then one of them is murdered. And it has to have been someone on the island who did it. And so now they're faced with the task of trying to figure out who murdered this person, who would do this in this trusting community that survived for a while, apparently, and how are they going to solve this crime before that person murders someone else? So, The Last Murder at the End of the World, I think it's an auto buy for me. Another auto buy for me, because of this author, Also very familiar to this trope that I just mentioned to you. One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware. Everybody's talking about it. I've put in for Goodreads for a free copy. I doubt I'll get it, but I'm a super fan, I guess, of Ruth Ware's, and I've read everything she's written, I think, up till now. One Perfect Couple really works for me because it's about a couple, Lila and her husband. Nope, he's her boyfriend. And they are like kind of struggling with their relationship. But there's this reality show where they put everybody on an island and they compete against these other couples. And I'm not really sure what they're competing for other than money, I think, to end up being the last people that survive this reality show in some way, or the last people that, that win. But also then a storm comes and they're all sort of isolated and in a bit of danger. And I'm thinking something must happen because it says it harkens to Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. So high tension, but also reality shows. Like I love those reality shows too. So it's like, bring it on. It's going to be a pre-order, I'm sure. That one comes out on May 21st as well. And then the last one I talked about in another video because I recently featured him, but this one is Greg Isles' new Southern Man release, which comes out on May 28th. This is book 7 of 7 in the Pen Cage series. I won't go into the synopsis of this at all because I don't want to know what happens in the future for Pen Cage. I need to get caught up before I can do that, but everyone has been highly anticipating this, and I have too, because I really do like him as an author. Even though his books are really chunky, they're pretty fast to get through and they're very well plotted and written. So I have no doubt that this one will be the same. And again, that one comes out at the end of the month on the 28th. By the way, I looked at the audiobook version of this because I thought I might want to get it and I have a credit. It's 45 hours long. Yeah, 45. That's even longer than The Covenant of Water. It was in the 30s, the length of the audiobook, 45 hours and 43 minutes long. Yeah, I know. That's a huge commitment. That's like, you got to really like somebody to do that. I think you got to really be ready for it. So I think I need to get through more of the Pen Cage books to see if I really am ready for it, to see if this really is something that is going to carry me through to book 7. How about you? If you're a fan and you're ready for book 7, let me know what kept you going. What was it that he did or didn't do that kept you intrigued about this particular character all along the way? But I do love that it's set in Mississippi. I do love that it is the same character because I am, even though I've only read 2 of these books in the series so far, I am really invested in Pen Cage. So I'm sure I'll get to it. All right, thanks for watching today, guys, and let me know what you're anticipating in May. Like I said, there's a ton of books that are coming out in May. There's lots of creators here on YouTube that are talking about what's coming out in May. So I really recommend that you just search May anticipated reads, May 2024 anticipated reads, and you'll find a host of others in addition to these. I did not find a romance that particularly grabbed my attention this time, but I know there are a lot of those. And like I said, there's a lot more thrillers than are certainly featured in this particular video. So go take a look, enjoy, buy all the books, or do whatever it is that you do to get them. And as always, happy reading. Bye.